Hello friends, welcome. Welcome to the part 2 of point of care quality improvement methodology. This is the step 2 where we are going to discuss about analysis of the problem and outcome and process indicators, developing indicators. Now in part 1 or step 1, you understood how to make a team, how to prioritize your problem, forming an aim statement, and then going ahead with the quality improvement. Now in part 2, we will be understanding how to analyze the problem so that you can do an effective problem solving and quality improvement. So step 2 is analyzing the problem and measuring quality of care. Now here the objectives would be tools to understand the process and systems of a healthcare, how to use these tools to identify the causes and possible solutions to reach our aim, to develop indicators for process and outcome of care, and to use indicators to track progress of improvement. Now, the importance of analysis is it helps us in detail to explore a problem, knowing the possible causes. It also helps us to control the things that are within our control. We can know which are the things which we can change, which we cannot change. It also gives us an opportunity for everyone to give their insights based on their role in the process. It also helps us understand what is happening in the system at present and how we can have possible solutions to solve our problem. Now, the tools for analysis commonly used in quality improvement are Fishbone, 5Y, Pareto Principle, and process flow chart. Let us understand now one by one as to how to use these methods in quality improvement. Now, first, Fishbone. Fishbone identifies all the possible contributing factors in a problem. So, Fishbone helps us to understand the expanse of the problem, the width of the problem, by understanding what are the people causes, what are the places causes, what are the procedure causes, what are the policy causes leading to that development of a problem or contributing to that challenge. Now remember, once we understand all the factors which are coming into play in particular situation or a scenario leading to that challenge, we can have better solutions available with us. So all of you would have seen a fishbone. This is a typical fishbone where you have policy as one section, people related section, procedure related section, and place related section. Sometimes you can have another section which is miscellaneous where you don't find the categorization and you can place these factors. So for example, giving skin to skin care immediately after delivery, maybe because people are not aware about it. It can be that the procedure is not being explained or it is not being defined. So it can be a procedure problem, it can be a people related challenge. So here you can either place this part either in people or place or procedure. So remember that many times the factor may fall into people or procedure, and it is not wrong if you do it in only one place. So, but it should be documented that we should know that yes, skill requiring skin to skin care is a challenge which is there in our analysis. So similarly, you can have a place related problem. For example, we don't have sufficient size of the labor table where we can do skin to skin and mother can breastfeed the baby on the labor table. So that could be one of the place related or equipment related challenge. So this is how you try to discuss with your team members, all the stakeholders, and take your time in making a fishbone. Remember, the more time you take in preparing a detailed fishbone, the more easier it would be to understand the problems. 5Y. Now the 5Y helps you to find a root cause analysis or go into the depth of a particular problem. So for example, if we take the example of mothers are not breastfeeding the baby and we ask 5Y, we slowly come to the root cause as to why the mothers are not breastfeeding. For example, in this case, it was actually a case from a dispensary where the mothers were not breastfeeding. We found they feel uncomfortable in taking their gown off. Why? Because the gown opens at back, so they have to take the entire gown off to breastfeed, so they feel uncomfortable. Why they have this type of a gown? That is what the storekeeper orders. So why doesn't the storekeeper change the gown appropriately before breastfeeding? Because no one asked the storekeeper. So once you realize that, you went to the storekeeper, he changed the gown type, and slowly you had solved this problem. There could be another scenario, which also happened in one of the facilities, where the mothers were not breastfeeding. Why? Because they felt uncomfortable taking their gown off or exposing their breast because there was no privacy while they were breastfeeding. So why there were no privacy? Because it was a common ward, There were no curtains available. Now, this is one of the most common challenges faced in exclusive breastfeeding in places. And so they provided a breastfeeding corner, they provided a screen, they provided a privacy area, and the breastfeeding rates improved dramatically. Pareto principle generally we are not using actively, but invariably we'll end up using it. So what Pareto principle says, it says that 80% of your problems are due to 20% of the causes. And fishbone analysis, process flow analysis, and 5i analysis generally helps you to identify those 20% of the vital tasks which will affect the 80% of the results. So invariably you land up using this Pareto principle and focus your strength and your efforts on those small 20% of the causes which can result in improvement in 80% of the results. For example, here we have an example of medication error. As you all know, medication error is a serious quality improvement challenge. And here we realized on doing a Pareto's analysis that only three main problems were leading to the main prescription error or medication error. They were either writing a wrong prescription, improper storage, or dilution in wrong strength. Now, these three, when handled, they led to a total improvement of more than 80% of your medication error, without focusing on other remaining causes of wrong label, missed dose, wrong dose. And so you could have put your effort in the select area and get dramatic results in the remaining area. So now coming to the most important part of a tool which we use in case of quality improvement is the process flow chart. Now, what is a process flow chart and how to develop it? Process flow chart helps you to understand the whole process which is happening related to the problem at hand. And this helps you to analyze the problem in detail and intervene as is required. So for example, to develop a process flow chart, you have a beginning and an end of a process. And generally beginning and end have to be documented. Then small steps which happen, they have to be shown with an arrow. And then this process flow is reviewed. And once you review this process flow, you understand whether some steps are needed, they are extra, or you can merge some steps, or you can modify some steps leading to the improvement of the process. Now, how to make this process flow chart? This is easy. Let us understand that the start and the end is represented by an oval, while different steps are represented as rectangle boxes which go from one end to another. You can enter that box, do the process, and then move ahead. The diamonds are the places where you have multiple options. Or triaging, for example, or just deciding whether the baby is crying or not crying is a diamond. You have to take a decision, and then you can go in different limb. For example, if the baby cries, he's normal, he will go with the mother. If the baby doesn't cry, requires resuscitation, he goes into another limb of the process. So diamond generally represents decision-making step. While clouds are those areas where the step is happening, but people are not aware how they are doing. So some people do it in their own way, some people do it in their own way. There are no standard operating procedures or well-defined steps which could be identified and put in boxes. So clouds are areas which require improvement most of the time. And so once you're making a process flow, remember it takes time. Don't be in a hurry to complete your process flow, because you have to make a process which is actually happening in your facility. It is not a process which is given in books. That's no way of doing a process flow chart, because that will defeat the purpose. So you try to document what is happening. Sometimes even you have to do a process walk. You have to go and see the process yourself. The team has to go and see and then make a process. Take your time to develop a process flow chart. Be it as realistic, most realistic as possible, which is happening in your ward. And even if there are many clouds in that, excellent, because these are the areas which can be developed, which can be improved. Once you improve, you have dramatic results coming to your way. So remember, spend your time in process flow chart, and it takes time to develop process flow chart. So once you start doing it, you will understand. And these are one of the best methods of doing quality improvement, because they show you directly what are the redundant steps, what are the steps which should not be done, what can be merged, what can be done efficiently. So focus on these process flow chart. So the key tip of analysis is analysis helps us to identify several causes of the problem. It also helps us to identify few causes that are most important for that problem. It also helps us to focus on the things which are under our control and where we will act, saves our effort, saves our frustration, and at the same time, it stimulates the discussion among team members as to how to contribute to develop solutions for solving this problem. It also involves all the team members, and many times it leads to reorganization of steps. Remember, 92% of the quality improvements are actually cutting down the waste, cutting down your wasteful processes which you are doing invariably because they were being done earlier, nobody thought about it, or nobody saw about it, nobody thought of an efficient way. So process flow map is one of the best methods of doing quality improvement. I hope this step would help you understand the analysis of the problem. Please, if you wish, you can revisit this video and try to understand. If there are any questions, we will be more than happy to take your questions. And I'm pretty sure that after a detailed problem analysis, you would be very well equipped to go to the next step of developing outcome indicators and process indicators, and then doing PDSAs and improving your project. So best of luck to all of you, and my heartiest congratulations to you to taking on this interesting journey of quality improvement. And I'm pretty confident that after completing this course of quality improvement methodology, you would be contributing significantly at your workplace, becoming more efficient and helping the patients in return. Thank you very much and have a good day. Welcome friends, welcome back to the part 2 of your step 2 of point of care quality improvement methodology. Now, we are going to now understand as to, after analyzing the problem, how to measure and process an outcome, and how to track our our movement, whether we are improving or we are not improving. So let us go to the part 2 of analyzing and measuring quality of care. So analyzing and measuring quality of care, we are in the step 2, and here we will understand about developing indicators for process and outcome of care, and how to use these indicators to progress or track improvement. Now, why measure? The question may be asked by all of you. What's the need to measure? We are improving. We are sure that we are improving. What's the problem? Well, measurement is very, very important, because we have to know whether we have an improvement or not. We have to know whether we are progressing in the right direction, or we need to do some course correction or some methodology we have to adapt, or maybe change our methodology. Data is always objective, and once you have the data, you can communicate with the team members. You can explain whether we are improving or not improving. You can compare yourself with time as to how we are doing earlier and how you are doing now. And at the same time, you can make comparisons between different hospitals, different facilities, with your objective data measuring the same parameters. Now, when you develop an indicator, please try to understand what is a process and what is an outcome. Now, by process we mean actions that are taken in the delivery of care. So for example, washing a hand is a process, while an outcome becomes the result of the action taken. So for example, washing a hand is our process, and the incidence of infection in a patient would be the outcome. Now remember, one process can have many outcomes, and one outcome can have many processes. For example, developing an infection can be because of hand washing, poor hand washing. It can also be because of a lot of invasive procedures. It could be because of unhygienic handling of the intracats. It can be because of the patient per se bringing infection from outside. So developing infection can be an outcome with many processes linked together. However, washing hand is a process which is linked to the development of infection as an outcome. Now, process and outcome indicators. So you measure a process because we want to learn whether the action which we are taking is happening as we wanted really to do it. And also we measure an outcome to understand, when we did an action properly, whether the outcome was desired for the patient and for us, or it was not. So to measure the outcome and to measure the process, we have to develop an indicator. Now, most of these indicators are generally very clear and unambiguous. They should not confuse the investigator or the team member. It should also be linked to your aim. What you want to improve, the outcome or process indicator must be linked to it. It should also be used to test whether we are changing the right direction, we are having an improvement or not. And at the same time, we should have an indicator which we can easily measure. All the team members can measure and check whether we are going in the right direction or not. So these would be the qualities of a good indicator. And remember, most of these indicators are developed as a percentage. That means in 100. So let us see, we will discuss some examples of process and outcome indicator, and that will make things a little clearer. Now, for example, if you want to see how many percentage of women were getting oxytocin within 1 minute, as was given an example in this discussion, we can calculate a percentage of it. So for example, total number of women delivering in a particular facility becomes the denominator, and the numerator is the number of women receiving oxytocin within 1 minute. That would be the numerator. So numerator with denominator into 100 will become the percentage. Percentage of a process. Process is what? Process is giving oxytocin to all mothers after 1 minute of delivery, or within 1 minute of delivery. Sorry, within 1 minute of delivery. So this would be the percentage of your process indicator. What could be the outcome related to it? So giving oxytocin within 1 minute of delivery would result in lesser postpartum hemorrhage. That's an outcome. So percentage of women developing postpartum hemorrhage would be an outcome indicator. And this can be calculated very easily. Total number of women delivered in a facility as a denominator, and number of women developing PPH as a numerator into 100 would give us percentage of women with postpartum hemorrhage. Now remember, as I told you earlier also, many causes of postpartum hemorrhage can happen in a patient. But one of the factors which can contribute to lesser postpartum hemorrhage would be giving oxytocin within 1 minute. And that's one of the important indicators. So that can be developed as an outcome indicator. Now here we can see it's a good indicator. Why it's a good indicator? Because here you can measure the number of women developing PPH. You can measure the total number of women giving birth to in a facility by checking with the source, that is the labor room register. It can be collected by any delivery room nurse, and the frequency of this data capture can be reviewed monthly. It can be, if it's a very few deliveries, it can be reviewed monthly. But if it's very large deliveries, it can be done every third day or every week. Remember, data evaluation or data checking the data is very, very important, and it should be at a practical frequency. It should not be too frequent. It should not be too late. That's very, very important. Another example which I'm going to discuss to you would be baby in case of newborns. So in newborn babies, we want to see how much was newborns were receiving skin to skin care. Now here the process is providing skin to skin care to a newly born baby after birth. Now here, what would be the denominator? Total number of babies delivered in the facility. That would be the denominator, and the numerator would be number of babies who are given skin to skin care after delivery. And the percentage is very easy. You take the number of babies receiving skin to skin care, divide it by total number of babies born, and then multiply with 100, and that will give you the percentage of babies which are dried immediately or which are provided skin to skin care. So both of these processes can be measured. So here in your slide, the example is being discussed of percentage of babies getting skin to skin care. You can also have percentage of babies dried immediately. Now both of these can lead to an outcome, and the outcome would be less hypothermia or no hypothermia. So if you want to develop a related outcome indicator with a process indicator, it would be percentage of babies who are hypothermic at 60 minutes of life. Now, 60 minutes means 1 hour of life. So number of babies who were detected as hypothermia would be the numerator at 60 minutes of life, divided by total number of babies delivered into 100 would give you the percentage of babies hypothermic at 1 hour. And this would become the outcome. So this outcome can be related to two processes, as we saw in this slide. One would be immediate drying, that is one process, and the other would be your skin to skin care with the mother after birth. Now, both these processes can be monitored and outcome can be monitored, or only one process which is being improved can be monitored and outcome can be monitored, and you can have your process and outcome results developed in this case of a study. So what would be the examples of good indicator in this? Is it a good indicator? Yes, it is a good indicator for baby. For example, the baby is dried immediately after birth is the numerator, well defined. People know, yeah, we dried it. Denominator would be total number of vaginal deliveries. Here we are talking about the labor room, so it becomes total number of vaginal deliveries. If we talk about all deliveries, then it would also require cesarean as a along with vaginal deliveries as a denominator. So here the denominator would be total number of vaginal deliveries. The source would be the labor room register. It can be collected by a delivery room nurse, and the frequency can be reviewed after or at the end of every shift if you have lot number of deliveries, or it can be reviewed every 2 to 3 days. Here is a beautiful example of a time series chart. This is one of the most favorite for all quality improvement enthusiasts and experts altogether. So here what we have done is that we have an x-axis and a y-axis. You can see that in your diagram. So in the x-axis, you have week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. These are different times. And on y-axis, you have percentage of women receiving oxytocin within 1 minute. And that's a process, remember. We saw that process earlier in our discussion. So this percentage of women receiving oxytocin within 1 minute is expressed as percentage on the y-axis, and the number of weeks of observations are represented on x-axis, and the graph is plotted. And as you plot, you can see that this team, which aim statement was percentage of women receiving eutotonic within 1 minute, has slowly improved from its pre-existing level of about less than 20% of women receiving the oxytocin within 1 minute to about 100% by 11 to 12 weeks. That's a good improvement. And you can see the graph, it's rising, and the teams can feel really proud of. And that's what we really expect quality improvement teams to get into that happiness of seeing things improving and demonstrating their work to others also. So plotting a time series chart is easy. You must just know what you're trying to plot. The title should be clearly and well defined. The X and Y axis have clear scale and they should be labeled. Now, most of the time, 99%, you will be taking time on X-axis. And that is your time can be denoted in hours, days, weeks, or months. Generally, we denote it as days or weeks. Y-axis represents the percentage of indicator, percentage outcome indicator. So it can be an outcome indicator, it can be a process indicator, it can be both in one graph, or it can be a separate graph. So you can indicate on the y-axis percentage outcome or percentage process, and then you can plot the graph and get yourself a good time series chart. What are the key tips for your developing indicators or data? One, looking at data over time is crucial. Frequent measurement and daily or weekly is better than no measurement or less measurement. Remember, frequent measurement, even if it's not going in the right direction, no problem. At least you will know. So frequent measurement of data is very, very important. Collect only data which is useful. Don't create a lot of registers and more data. Everything is being documented. No, that's not needed. Quality improvement to start with. You need clear data which is linked to your aim. Just monitor that. Don't overburden with your endless data collection. If possible, and don't try to capture a new data. Try to see if the data which is already being captured can be converted into a process indicator or outcome indicator or not. If not, then only collect a new data. Otherwise, use the data which is already being captured. Most of the labor rooms and other places are capturing data, not a huge amount of data. Just try to see how you can convert it into a process and use that data to measure your improvement. And I'm pretty sure and confident that with these steps, you'll be able to analyze your problem nicely by utilizing your process flow map, fishbone analysis, 5 whys, and then develop simple indicators which everybody understands, is easy to collect from the register, and you are able to monitor. So I expect that this session would be useful to you. You are welcome to revisit this session again. If you have any doubts, you can post your queries, and we would love to answer them. And my best wishes to you all to develop quality improvement and do the improvement for this. Thank you very much.